taxes for cars. No to investment in renewable energy. No to renewable fuels. And today we import triple the amount of oil than we had on the day that Senator McCain took office. Now is the time to end this addiction and to understand that drilling is a stopgap measure, not a long-term solution, not even close.
My name is Rufus Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of the RealTruthinc with part 2. Now, part 1, you know, Doug stole the show. See, Doug just came in strategically and just took everything out. I'd like to welcome my host, Bernadette Watson. We're going to go into part 2, which is a studio live audience that's going to be asked to the candidates, school board candidates, and candidates, the incumbents candidates, right? That's who we
incumbent candidates for Cincinnati City Council.
And we've been running this and putting this out here for a whole month. Now we on the day of our forum. So right now I'm gonna get right into it and turn it over to my host, Ms. Bernadette Watson.
Well, welcome back, and hope you all joined us. And those who missed the first half, you have a real treat for the second half to get.
But we're gonna play this back anyway throughout the whole month of October.
And they will be able to see all of it and get to even know the candidates, our incumbent candidates, better than we have learned to know them ourselves. One of the things earlier we had Councilmember Pamela Thomas, and as we all know, during a campaign there are numerous amounts of events that are going on, and Pam had another event that she had been committed to as well. And we thank her for being here. But I did want to say, to know more about Councilmember Thomas, her website is thomasforcitycouncil.com, and her email is Pamela, P-A-M-U-L-A, Thomas @yahoo.com. And any questions or any information you'd like to get from Councilmember Thomas, you can reach her at 513-207-2974. And again, we thank you so much, Pam, for being here earlier and all of your questions and the good work that you're currently doing on City Council, and look forward to your continued service to the city of Cincinnati.
And I also, not to cut you off, I also want to put out the live call, and you can call in and ask any question to the candidate, 513-651-3036, 513-651-3036, you know, or the audience, you know, because this is the part where everybody that's going to go for what they know, and, you know, and I know it's a lot of forums out there, but, you know, this is the real truth. Reality, education, attitudes, and lifestyle. There ain't nothing beating this here forum. This is where you come and get your pass through.
Right.
I see you there, Miss Angela.
Right.
Beaming.
Right.
Running for city council.
Right, right. And
Okay.
we do have an additional candidate as well. And we want to acknowledge and give all people an opportunity to be able to do what they do as they run for city council and want to serve you, the people of our city. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to start off, and before we get into the questions with our studio audience, what I would like to do is, as we talk about the candidates, what they do, what they stand for, one of the things that I find very important that our community in the city of Cincinnati, we so often, we don't vote. I think it was quite disturbing that during a primary, which is so important for a mayoral candidate, that only 5.7% of our population turned out to vote in that primary to make a decision about who would be on the top. And I would hope that those are not the numbers that we'll get. This is not a presidential election, but it's the first 4-year term that Cincinnati City Council will serve. And it's so, so very important that we vote and exercise that right. And just for a moment, our candidate, Michelle Dillingham, earlier today had a press conference regarding voting rights and the importance of that. And I'd like to give her just a minute or so just to talk a little bit about voting rights. And Erica, David, and Kevin as well, if you have any comment about that, please, after Michelle has made her comments about her press conference today, I'd like for you to add just a little of that, and then we'll open it up to our studio audience for questions.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And, you know, here locally, we all know very well the importance of voting rights, and that the vote happens in the right way. We can only, you know, we just have to look at what happened with Judge Tracy Hunter to know how bad things can get if our votes aren't counted. Today I stood in front of the Hamilton County Justice Center to draw attention to the fact that with the upwards of 1,200 individuals, men and women, in the Justice Center today, they still have the right to vote. I was drawing attention to this because we want people to know that the only time that you do not have the right to vote is if you are incarcerated with a felony conviction. The 1,200 people in the county justice center today are mostly awaiting conviction, upwards of 90%. That's probably about 1,000 people who still have the right to vote in this election. And we want to make sure all Cincinnati knows. I'm hearing on the campaign trail, I know as my peers are, that people still think that they don't have the right to vote for various reasons. You can vote without a permanent address. On my website, michelledillingham.com, there's plenty of more information. But I just want to hammer that in. Only 37% of registered voters voted in the 2011 city council election. This election will determine who runs our city for 4 years, who runs our Cincinnati public school, whether the libraries are funded, whether our city pensions are protected. A lot is at stake. Registration deadline, October 7th, in 10 days. Please register. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, on there, but we have a call on there. Caller, you are on the air.
Yeah, how you doing?
All right.
Okay, first of all, hello to your panelists. And I'm getting a feedback on my phone. That's what it is. My question quickly, how do you all feel, and this is for the candidates, and Erica, you can answer this also if you just want to because you run up the school board, but this is basically for city councils. How do you guys feel about districts being put on the ballot and districts representing us more so than the way we're being represented now citywide, and would you support an issue to be put on the ballot like that?
Thank you,
And
Paul.
I'll hang up and I'll listen to the question, and anyone can take that question.
Kevin's going to open up.
And let me sorry, quickly and briefly. Since Pam is not there, I've already spoken with her on this issue, so I know how she feels about that issue. So I'm just throwing it out there to you guys right now that are there.
I think it's a great question, and it's something that we should definitely consider doing. In a city that's made up, again, of 52 neighborhoods, and when you look at the distribution of city resources, and we're questioning whether or not they're fair and equitable, and we all know the answer to that by going out and campaigning and engaging the citizens. I think we need to go to maybe a mixed system where you maybe have 4 at large and 5 districts. That way you have an equal representation of all of the city, and then council members are accountable to those neighborhoods that if they're a part in the district system. And so I like more of a maybe 4 or 5 at large and then 4 or 5 districts. So I definitely would support an initiative like that.
I don't think that change is a helpful change. If we go to 5 districts, they're still pretty large. Each district would have a lot of neighborhoods, maybe 10 or so, and you run into the question of who draws the lines, who redraws the lines when we have a census and the population changes. My experience in the time that I was on council was that there was no neighborhood that I felt comfortable writing off. So I was serving every part of the city, and part of being a good member of council is getting around and serving every part of the city. I think we've been blessed with some good results under our city charter. I'm not sure that kind of change is something I don't support.
Thank you. Michelle, if you'd like to answer.
I don't know. Changing the charter to create districts, I actually might not have a strong opinion on that right now. I just know that that might be your caller, but I just know that all 9 members of council need to represent all 52 neighborhoods, and I hope to do that if I'm elected. Thank you.
I don't have an opinion. I don't know that I would answer that question.
My name is Renika, and I was just going to ask the person that's running the school board, do you have any plans on educating the youth about personal development, educating the youth about financial literacy, college awareness in the Cincinnati public schools?
Sure. Thank you, Renika. Very good question. I'm happy to answer that. You know, as I talk to folks, and again, from a parental aspect, being a parent myself, it is important that we understand that school doesn't only happen during the school day. Learning doesn't only happen during the school day. And so when our kids are at school, there's a curriculum to teach. It's very regimented. Particular amounts of time have to be given to particular subjects. So many days have to be attended per year. But we do still, as a community and as a parental involvement component, have a responsibility to teach our children to be good citizens. That means the personal development that you mentioned. That means financial literacy. That means community awareness and community service and those things. And unfortunately, you know, for many reasons, some of that's been taken out of the daily curriculum. What I propose is to continue to support our community learning centers. Cincinnati Public Schools has community learning centers in a large portion of our elementary schools as well as our secondary schools, and those community learning centers bring the support services necessary to our children and families so that they can do a good job during the school day. For an example, do you know that some kids go home from school on Fridays with a bag of food to last them over the weekend, literally? At Chase Elementary School, I know this because I've seen this myself, the older sibling takes the sack of non-perishable items home so that they can be shared with their siblings and actually their parents as well. That's the only way, the community learning centers, the only way that we can ensure that support services are being given. So another thing, coming from a nonprofit perspective, having spent 25 years working in the nonprofit sector, we have to encourage not only individual community members, but our nonprofit community to band together to provide services that don't cost our families a penny and that support our education system and to provide those support services for our kids.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Yes, another question, please.
Hello, my name is Angela Beeman, and I have a question for Ms. Michelle Dillingham. The caller asked specifically about your stance on districts and what that looks like for you. And I noticed you said you did not have an opinion one way or another, but you hope to represent all neighborhoods if you're elected to council. Can you expand upon how you would personally make sure that you are representing all of our neighborhoods and what you feel that representation looks like?
Sure, thank you, Angela. I can tell you that I have served years on a community council, and almost all of our neighborhoods have a community council where they receive NSP and NBD dollars to do such things as newsletters and beautification, and so it's a natural infrastructure whereby elected members of city council can have the opportunity to visit those neighborhoods or understand from that leadership from each neighborhood on what is important to that neighborhood, what are the issues of that neighborhood. So as an elected council member, the role of the leadership of community councils is a great resource for the individual council member to keep a pulse on what's going on for that neighborhood. There's also the opportunity, I know from a neighborhood perspective, of our community officers. Our neighborhood officers is really a remnant that came out of the consent decree when we had to do